Hi, my name is Steve Link. I work with Cornerstone Advisors in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And my colleague here, Diane, is the president of the Moravian Archives Board and the chair of the Plan Giving Committee here at the Archives. And we've been talking over the last 6 months or so about various ways to help the archives continue to build their financial foundation through plant gifts. And today, Diane and I are speaking as one of a series of videos, short videos for you as the viewer, to think about the role of financial planning and philanthropy in your support of the archives. So today's topic is planning for tomorrow using endowment. So Diane, let's get started.
All right. Well, Stephen, you have worked closely with donors making donations that go into the endowment, and I think it would be helpful if you just gave an overview about how endowments work.
Sure.
For an institution.
So starting, an endowment is basically a savings account, and it has restrictions on it based on what a given donor like you might want to have in place, but they run with a spending policy and an investment policy that kind of provide guardrails for the operation of the endowment. The endowment, as a savings account, investment account, produces both capital gains, hopefully through wise investment, and a spending policy or spending amount that the archives can use for its operations, for its preservation of the archives itself, and programmatic functioning, salaries, maintenance of the building, and that kind of thing. So that's just a quick snapshot. There's generally a spending policy which says, no more than X% can be spent each year based on a multi-year value of the endowment. And it smooths the ups and downs of the marketplace so that the archives has a reliable source of funding for its operations.
It's having a healthy endowment is a wonderful thing for an institution. It allows for advanced planning and stability, all kinds of things that we want to have happen. Steve, I know we're going to be going into more detail on ways to give in other videos that we are going to be providing, but what are the top methods that people use to give?
In one of the other videos, Paul, the director and archivist for the archives, talks about some of the frequent gifts that have come in the past. Primarily, they tend to be gifts of appreciated securities. They can be actual material things, tangible things like manuscripts, books, paintings. But of course, you'll want to know that that's something that the archives wants to have as part of the collection. There are gifts that you can make of these items, but they're not with the intent that it permanently stays in the collection. And there are specific IRS rules around gifts that are not going to be permanently held. But the primary ways are during lifetime through appreciated securities, cash gifts, unneeded life insurance that has outlived its purpose, but it's an asset that somebody has. Frequently now, people use IRA gifts, tax-deferred retirement plans, which are very tax disadvantaged for their living heirs that they may wish to benefit. And certainly for living donors, once they reach age 70 and a half, you can tap into your IRA and make a distribution directly to charity, to the archives or elsewhere, up to $100,000 a year. And not have that count in your adjusted gross income, which has an impact on both your Medicare, and Social Security taxation of your benefits. So there are a lot of different ways. 80% of plan gifts are simple bequests where people say, I leave X dollars or X percentage of my estate or the residual of my estate to the archives for either general purposes or endowment. I think that's a quick summary.
Now, how do people know what is the best kind of gift for them to give to the archives?
Well, I'm not sure I said at the beginning, neither of us are attorneys or CPAs or financial advisors. So that's your caveat disclaimer. But I will say It really depends. That's my lawyerly answer, because it depends what assets you do have. Some assets are great to leave for your living heirs. So appreciated securities, for instance, when you pass away and you leave appreciated security to your children or grandchildren or loved ones, they get a step up in the basis. And so there's no capital gain tax to them if they choose to liquidate that stock at any point after your passing. A retirement fund, like we were just talking about a moment ago, can leave maybe 40 cents on the dollar to your living heirs, because you have to pay both income tax and potentially estate tax. And there are some other planning considerations that you will want to take up with your professional advisors, both your CPA and your attorney, that deal with separating the assets in a retirement plan that you wish to leave for living heirs and that going to charity, to make sure that you're not creating really an unhappy tax situation for your living heirs.
Thank you, Steve. You have worked for a long time with individuals on philanthropic planning. What questions and steps should individuals be thinking about and following?
First and foremost, I think it's important to talk with your professional advisors and give them the full picture of your estate. And it's easy, I think, over the course of a 60, 70, 80-year lifetime to amass things and kind of lose track of them. If we move from a job to another job, we have multiple socks. So we have one retirement plan over here. We've got life insurance that we got, way back when, and we've forgotten about it. We are very cognizant of our brokerage accounts, mostly of our savings accounts, but like life insurance policies, retirement plans, you can end up with 4 or 5 of these. And once you're not having to do anything with them, it's a paid up policy, it kind of goes out of mind. But you need to look at them, make sure your beneficiary designations are up to date, that whoever you've named is A, still alive, and B, somebody who still wants to benefit, because those items will pass directly through the beneficiary designation, not anything with what you've written in the will. So I think it really comes down to being transparent with your professional advisors so they can give you concrete advice based on what the current tax law is. So the tax law does shift year by year. And this, I can tell you from personal experience working on my dad's estate, this can be very traumatic for a family if you make a will and you have your plan and the tax law changes 5 or 10 years down the road, but you haven't been back to meet with your professional advisor to make sure that the current tax law will have the same impact as when you put your plan together in the first place. So in addition to speaking with your advisors, I would also raise the specter of when you involve and communicate your plans and your wishes with your family. This can help prevent misunderstandings. And we did talk about this in another short video, but it's important to think about this. And I would check with your advisors too and get their reaction, especially if they know your loved ones and what their potential needs are. So do you have other questions on this topic?
Good advice. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for joining us for this segment. We encourage you to go out and watch the other videos at your leisure. And if you have any questions about the archives or giving, by all means, please reach out to Paul or Diane, and we will guide you in how best to help the archives prepare for the future. Thanks again.